Alrighty, in this video, I want to start working on the pickup and holding and all that kind of stuff. And when I think about it, we're going to have some form of examining. And in third person, that's going to look like crap unless we kind of have a separate window where we can, view and move the item, rotate it around and stuff. I'm not a huge fan of that. I almost like holding out in front of me. It just adds just a little bit of a different aspect than you would get out of most games. And I played a game with my friend recently where we actually were doing that in an escape room game. So I kind of want to give that my own try, so to speak. So all we're going to be doing really is taking our camera and attaching it to our head bone. So to do that, we're going to make sure we get the bone names right. So let's open up our mannequin, find the mesh, find the skeleton, and let's just find head. So yeah, it's just called literally head. So that's where we want to attach our camera. So if we go to our character, go to the constructor, we can find the camera boom, follow camera. What's this attached to? It's set up to the root component. The root component is our capsule, most likely. So instead of that, we're going to set up attachment to our mesh. So we're going to do, instead of root component, get mesh. And then I think the next parameter, it should be a socket. Yes. So f name, the name of the socket, which is head. So target arm length, 0. Let's see, anything else? I believe that is all for now. I'm going to actually go ahead and give myself a recompile just to be safe. Yeah, you would throw a fit. Alrighty, then go ahead and relaunch the editor. And let's just, you can kind of see it's already attached. So hit play in the viewport, and we kind of have it set up. So obviously we have this little bit of an issue, but we are attached to the head. So that, the rotation issue anyways, can be solved relatively easily. You're just going to have to give me a minute because I can't quite remember how to do it. It's like use, what is it? Camera. It might be use pawn control rotation. Let's try that. See what happens. Press play. No. What was it? It was something regarding rotation. So use use controller yaw. I think that might be what it is. And let me uncheck use pawn control rotation. Whoops, that was from the camera. So we're back to normal, except we have use controller yaw checked, and I think that's it. There we go. So now we can rotate everything like so. So now we have the, well, that would be the head. So we want to try to hide the head. So we can do that. Let's find begin play. Heck yeah, it doesn't have a begin play function for us. So let's create one. So after everything, we're just going to do virtual void begin play. Make sure to override it. Create the implementation. Do not forget to call super. And here we can do our check. So if is locally controlled, because we only want to hide it if we are controlling our end player. We're going to do get mesh, hide bone. And then we have the bone index. So hide bone by name would probably be a lot better. So it takes in a name. So f name, head. And then the next parameter is physics body option. We don't care about that. And you're going to make me add it. Yep. So it was an enum. So it was e phys body op. I'm just going to do none because I don't entirely know what the other options even do. So I'm going to go ahead and save. And actually, let's set that b use controller yaw up here. So b use controller rotation yaw equals true. We're going to set that by default in our constructor. And then I'm going to move my begin play function actually up right below where we bind our inputs, just because that's where I always put it out of habit and I like it. So now let's give this a try and just see what happens. We compile. Let's go ahead and run it. Oh, my neck's starting to kill me. Press play, and there we no longer have our head in the way. We just have, our chest kind of breathing a little bit. So what we can do is we can kind of compensate for this a little bit by raising our camera. If we press F8, actually we can just see the head right there. Let's actually check and make sure that it only does it for our own end client. So we each see each other's heads, but we do not see our own heads. So that's good to go. So we're going to take our camera. Let's try to find a good position here. I don't know if it'll let me even move it though. Click the camera boom. Bump it up by, how big are the increments? 10. Okay, so not the greatest. Bump this down to 5. Let's go down 1. Let's go let me select it, forward by 1 as well. Let's go forward by 2. I'm thinking it's just probably too low. We want to go up a tiny bit more. Let's do another, and then we'll go forward once more. So I want to be kind of up and out of the way. And it keeps, I think it's just reverting the camera position right back. Let's see if I can move it manually here. Yeah, so location I think is resetting itself. I click on the camera boom, we can, no, is it camera boom or camera? I think I was moving the wrong thing. We want to move the camera boom. Move you forward, up 1, and let's see if that works. There we go. So now I was moving the wrong thing. So we can come down a little bit. So we got to quit animating. Did I move it? It's getting tedious. All right. So let's move it a little bit closer. We'll just do 2. And there, I'd say that's pretty good to go. That's close enough anyways. So we're probably a little high. We're just going to drop it and leave it. So drop it by 1. I'll save. And call that a day. That's close enough, at least for our purposes. So we have our camera position, our first person, blah, blah, blah. Good to go there. Play as 2. And I want to look at something real quick. I want to see if our rotation is replicated. So I turn, and it is. Okay. So we are, actually, let's see if that replicates between 3. So client to client. That's kind of what I'm curious about. Okay, so it is replicating among all the clients as well. So that's completely fine. Okay, we have first person. So, well, crappy first person, but that's all we really need for the time being. So let's go ahead and hard code that. So camera boom. We have it as, well, let me rephrase that. We have the offset. Dang it. The exact same color. I could barely see which one was which. Okay, here's our pawn. So camera boom. Set component. No, set location. So we're going to set relative location. It's going to be, it just takes in an F vector, right? Yep. So we're going to construct a new F vector. So it's going to be 5 on the X, 20 on the Y, and 0 on the Z. So this goes X, Y, and Z. So the question being, if that is 100% correct, I'm going to save it, if hot reload actually, or live coding does its thing. I kind of doubt it will. Let's reset. Yeah, figured it wouldn't. So I'm going to go ahead and do a full recompile and relaunch it. See, roughly in the right spot, which it looks like it is, so let's check it. And it's back where we want it. So, camera boom, that's all set. I don't know why the rotation was slightly off, but we are good to go. So everything is by default set up where we want it. Okay, so we now have our little first person, and because we have that, that means we can easily, well, more easily add the examining portion that I wanted to set up. So where we can, you know, when we're holding items, we want to be able to move them closer, farther away, and all that kind of stuff. So from there, see, we have our interaction. We want to be able to pick up and hold. So in the next video, we're actually going to be implementing the picking up of items and kind of holding them. So we're going to want to add some kind of socket just out in front of us for the time being that we can attach the item to, because we don't necessarily want to keep setting the location to the, you know, somewhere out in front of the camera. What we want to do is instead is just have some point out in space here, just a dedicated socket that we can have items being held in front of us. So we can pick them up, carry them, and then place them down very easily. And with that in mind, that'll allow us to easily move the socket closer and farther away from the camera, as well as do our own kind of control over top of it. So locally anyways, we can rotate the item however we wish. So we'll probably end up trying to replicate all that and just add our own kind of form of interpolation to keep everything smooth and in sync. So this is going to be something that we're really going to have to try to think about when we get into the examining and replicating it to where it looks nice and smooth, because we want to be able to, let's say we have like a big plate or a bowl that you would eat cereal out of. Well, I want the players to be able to pick up the item. Let's say it's facing the correct direction with the inset pointing, you know, visible. So I want the player to be able to pick that bowl up, rotate it to flip it upside down, and place it right back where it was without really any issue. So I want that to be what is replicated. But on top of that, we want to make sure we do not drop item in other object. We don't want to be able to drop the item in some object. So we want to make sure that doesn't happen. So we'll have to figure out something to really do there. So some form of collision, or maybe I don't know. We'll just have to kind of see. But that'll be kind of a lower priority to fix, because that is obviously going to be a problem. So what we could do, there was another game. They did the same thing. So if you clip the item out of the world and it got to the point where it wanted to kill itself, like despawn, it just respawned it back where it's supposed to be. So that's another thing we could potentially do. So I think that's pretty much it for now. Yeah, that's going to be all for this video anyways. So if you like what I'm doing and you want to help support me, you can find a link to my Patreon down in the description below, where we have a Team Deathmatch series just for patrons, where we create Team Deathmatch from the ground up with Unreal Engine with C++. And if you have any question or anything like that, feel free to join my Discord server down below as well, and I'll try to help you out. So, take care.